The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was old. Its walls had seen 10,000 years of decisions, treaties, and wars. But in all that time, there was only one rule that every species agreed upon. One rule that was never questioned. One rule that was written in the blood of those who had broken it. Never provoke humanity. Elder stood at the center of the hall. His gray skin was thin and marked with age. His 4 eyes had seen things that younger beings could not imagine. He had lived for 300 years, and in all that time he had only feared one thing. The creatures from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. Commander Kell said, his voice slow and tired. I ask you to think again. The humans have done nothing to us. Their colony on the edge of our territory is small. They trade with us. They cause no trouble. Commander Kell stood tall before the elder. He was young and strong. His blue scales shone under the light of the council chamber. He had won many battles. He had conquered 3 systems in the name of his people. He believed he was ready for anything. Elder Kell said with a smile, I have heard the stories about humans. We all have. They say humans are dangerous. They say humans are cruel. They say humans never forget and never forgive. He laughed. But I have seen their ships. They are small. Their weapons are simple. Their bodies are weak. They cannot even survive in space without special suits. Closed his eyes. He had heard these words before. Many years ago, another young commander had said the same things. That commander was now dust, scattered across a dead world. You do not understand, said quietly. I was there, Kell. I was there when the Vex Empire decided to attack Earth. The Vex were the greatest power in the galaxy. They had 1,000 warships. They had weapons that could crack planets in half. They believed humans were nothing but animals. Kell crossed his arms. And what happened to the Vex? Opened his eyes. There are no Vex anymore, not one. There is empty, their ships are gone, their history is forgotten. Humans did not just defeat them, humans erased them. The council hall was silent. The other members looked at each other with worry in their eyes. They had all heard the stories. They had all seen the old recordings, but Kell was not moved. That was 200 years ago, Kell said. Humans have changed. They are peaceful now. They talk about trade and friendship. They send diplomats to our worlds. They smile and shake hands. He shook his head. They have become soft. They have forgotten how to fight. Stepped closer to Kell. His old body shook with anger and fear. You fool, whispered. Humans have not forgotten. They have chosen peace. There is a difference. A wolf that sleeps is still a wolf, and when you wake it, you will see its teeth. Kell turned away from the elder. He looked at the other council members. He saw doubt in their faces, but he also saw something else. He saw the desire for power. He saw the hunger for the resources on the human colony world. He saw that they wanted him to succeed. The human colony has valuable minerals, Kell said loudly. Minerals that we need. If we take that world, our people will prosper for 100 years. And what will the humans do? Send angry messages, write formal complaints. He laughed again. They are not the warriors they once were. They are merchants and scientists now. They will do nothing. Reached out and grabbed Kell's arm. His grip was weak, but his eyes burned with intensity. I am begging you, said. Do not do this. I have seen what humans can do when they are angry. They do not fight like us. They do not follow the rules of war. When humans are hurt, they do not stop until their enemy is completely destroyed. They will hunt you across the stars. They will find everyone you love. They will burn everything you have built. And when it is over, they will make sure the galaxy remembers what happens to those who harm them. Kell pulled his arm free. He looked at the elder with pity in his eyes. You are old, your fear has made you weak, but I am not afraid. He turned to address the full council. I will take the human colony. I will show the galaxy that humanity is not to be feared, and when I return with victory, you will thank me. Said nothing more. He stepped back and lowered his head. He knew that words would not change Kell's mind. Some lessons could only be learned through pain. 1 week later, Commander Kell led his fleet to the human colony. The world was called New Hope. It was a small planet with green forests and blue oceans. 300 humans lived there, farmers, scientists, families with children. Kel's ships appeared in the sky without warning. He did not send a message. He did not make demands. He simply ordered his weapons to fire. The attack lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the colony was burning. The forests were ash. The buildings were rubble. The 300 humans were dead. Kel stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the destruction. He felt proud. He felt powerful. He had done what the elders said could not be done. He had struck humanity and survived. His officers cheered around him. They celebrated their easy victory. They talked about the medals they would receive. They laughed at the weakness of humanity. But far away on a planet called Earth, a message was received. It contained only images. Images of fire, images of death, images of children who would never grow up. The humans who received this message did not cry. They did not scream. They simply looked at each other with cold, hard eyes. And then they began to prepare. In the council hall, Elder sat alone in the darkness. He had felt the moment when the colony died. He had sensed the shift in the universe. "They have woken the wolf," he whispered to the empty room, "and now the galaxy will burn." He was not wrong. Captain was eating his dinner when the message arrived. He was sitting in the small kitchen of his ship, the Iron Wake. The ship was old but strong. It had carried him through 15 years of service. He trusted it more than he trusted most people. His first officer, Lieutenant, walked into the kitchen. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. Had never seen her look so disturbed. "Captain," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "you need to see this." Put down his food. He followed to the bridge. The main screen was filled with images, fire, smoke, bodies. A small colony that had once been full of life was now nothing but ash and ruin. "What am I looking at?" asked, but he already knew. He could feel it in his chest, a cold, heavy feeling that spread through his whole body. New Hope said, "It was attacked 6 hours ago. No warning, no demands, they just opened fire." She paused. 300 dead, including 47 children. Stared at the screen. He saw a playground that had been burned to the ground. He saw a school with its walls collapsed. He saw the remains of homes where families had lived and laughed and dreamed of the future. "Who did this?" he asked. "Commander Kel of the Empire. He leads a fleet of 12 warships. They attacked and left. They did not even take the resources. They just killed everyone and flew away." Closed his eyes. He remembered a time long ago when humans had promised themselves they would never start a war. They had seen too much death on their own world. They had learned that violence only created more violence, so they had chosen peace. They had built trade routes instead of armies. They had sent diplomats instead of soldiers. But they had never forgotten how to fight. Contact Admiral said, "Tell him what happened. Tell him we need orders." Nodded and turned to the communication console, walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Kel was celebrating. He was laughing and drinking with his officers. He believed he had won. He was wrong. Admiral was 70 years old. He had white hair and a face full of scars. He had fought in the last Great War, 30 years ago, when pirates had tried to raid human shipping lanes. That war had lasted 3 weeks. The pirates had learned that humans were not easy targets. Those who survived had spread the word. For 3 decades, no one had dared to attack humanity. Until now. Received the message on his command ship, the Silent Thunder. He watched the images from New Hope without speaking. His officers stood around him, waiting for orders. When the images ended, was quiet for a long moment. "How many ships do we have ready?" he finally asked. 47 warships, Admiral," his aide replied. "Another 60 can be prepared within 3 days." "Prepare them all," said. "Every ship we have, every soldier we can call, every weapon we can load." His aide looked surprised. Sir, Kel only has 12 ships. Surely we do not need our entire fleet for. This is not about Kel, interrupted. His voice was cold and hard. This is about sending a message. The galaxy has forgotten why they fear us. It is time to remind them. The news spread across human space like fire. Every colony, every station, every ship received the images from New Hope, and everywhere the reaction was the same. Cold anger, quiet determination, a shared understanding that what had been done could not be ignored. Volunteers flooded the recruitment centers. Old soldiers came out of retirement. Scientists stopped their research and offered to help with weapons. Farmers and merchants donated money and supplies. Humanity had been peaceful for a long time, but peace was not the same as weakness. On Earth, the World Council met in emergency session. The leaders of humanity sat around a great table. They watched the images together. They listened to the cries of the dying, and when it was over, they voted. The vote was unanimous. War. Captain received his orders 2 days later. He would join the main fleet under Admiral. His ship would be part of the hunting group. Their mission was simple: find Kel, stop him from escaping, hold him until the full fleet arrived. Stood beside him as he read the orders. "Do you think we can find him?" she asked. "We will find him," said. "Humans are good at many things, but we are best at hunting. When someone hurts us, we do not stop until we find them. It does not matter how long it takes. It does not matter how far they run. We always find them." "What will happen to Kel when we catch him?" Looked at her. His eyes were dark and cold. "That depends on him. If he surrenders, he will face trial. If he fights, he will die. Either way, the galaxy will see what happens to those who attack our people." The fleet gathered at the edge of human space. 107 warships. The largest human military force assembled in 30 years. They moved together like a school of fish, their engines glowing in the darkness of space. Admiral stood on the bridge of the silent thunder. He looked at the fleet around him and felt a mix of pride and sadness. He had hoped he would never have to do this again. He had hoped that humanity's days of war were over. But they had made a choice. They had decided to hurt innocent people. They had decided to kill children. And now they would learn why the elders had warned them. Picked up his communicator. His voice was broadcast to every ship in the fleet. "Today we go to war," he said. "Not because we want to, not because we enjoy killing, but because we must protect our people. We must show the galaxy that attacking humanity has consequences. The thought we were weak. They thought we had forgotten how to fight. They were wrong." He paused. Around him, his officers listened with fierce expressions. "We will find Commander Kel. We will stop his fleet. And we will make an example that the galaxy will remember for 1,000 years. Not because we are cruel, but because we must make sure this never happens again. Our children deserve to live without fear. Our colonies deserve to grow in peace. And the only way to guarantee that is to show everyone what happens when you harm humanity." The fleet moved forward. 107 ships flying toward the stars. Behind them, more ships were being prepared. More soldiers were being trained. The full might of humanity was waking up. And somewhere in the darkness, Kel was running. He did not know yet that he was being hunted. He did not know that the greatest military force in the galaxy was coming for him. He was still celebrating his victory. But his celebration would not last long. The hunt had begun. Commander Kel was beginning to feel worried. It had been 1 week since his attack on the human colony. At first, everything had seemed perfect. His fleet had returned home to cheers and celebration. The council had praised him. His people had called him a hero. But then the reports started coming in. "Commander," his officer said nervously, "we have detected human ships near the Velar system." Kel frowned. "How many?" "At least 30, maybe more. Our sensors are having trouble counting them all." 30 ships, that was strange. Humans usually traveled in small groups. They were traders and explorers, not warriors. Why would they send 30 ships? Keep watching them, Kel ordered. They are probably just passing through. But they were not passing through. Over the next few days, more human ships appeared. They seemed to be everywhere, near borders, near trade routes, near military bases. They never attacked. They never even spoke. They just watched. And waited. Pilot sat in the cockpit of her fighter, the Black Arrow. She was one of the best pilots in the human fleet. Her eyes were sharp. Her hands were steady. Her mind was always calculating. Right now she was watching Kel's flagship through her long-range sensors. It was a big ship, covered with weapons. Impressive for most species, but was not impressed. "I have eyes on the target," she reported. "The flagship is at the center of their formation. 12 ships total, just like the report said." Captain's voice came through her earpiece. "Good work, keep your distance. We do not want them to know we are here yet." "Understood, Captain." Navigator was working on the Silent Thunder, studying star maps and calculating possible escape routes. She was young, but her mind was brilliant. She could look at a map and see patterns that others missed. "Admiral," she said, "I have analyzed all the possible paths Kel might take if he tries to run." Looked at her with interest. "Tell me." Pointed at the map. "There are only 3 routes he can use. The first goes through the nebula sector, but our ships are already there. The second goes past the system, but that would take him too close to our main fleet. The third goes toward the dead zone, near the dying star called Ember." "And which route do you think he will choose?" Smiled slightly. "He will choose the dead zone. It is the most dangerous, but it is also the only place where he thinks he might lose us. The radiation from the dying star makes sensors difficult to use. He will believe he can hide there." Nodded slowly. "Then we will be waiting for him there. Send orders to the fleet. We will create a net around the dead zone. When Kel runs, he will run straight into our trap." Kel made his decision 3 days later. The human ships were getting closer. They were not attacking, but their presence was making his officers nervous. Some of them were starting to whisper that perhaps the attack on the human colony had been a mistake. "We need to leave," Kel announced to his commanders. "The humans are trying to surround us. We will go to the dead zone and wait for things to calm down." His second-in-command, a female named Vara, looked worried. "Commander, the dead zone is dangerous. The radiation from the dying star can damage our ships." "It will damage human ships too," Kel replied. "And their sensors will not work properly there. We can hide until they give up and go home." Vara wanted to argue, but she knew it was pointless. Kel had made up his mind. He believed he was still in control. He believed the humans were just trying to scare him. He was very wrong. The fleet moved toward the dead zone. Kel felt better once they were moving. Running was not as glorious as fighting, but it was the smart thing to do. He would wait for the humans to lose interest. Then he would return home and continue his life as a hero. But as his fleet traveled, something strange happened. Everywhere they went, human ships appeared. Not attacking, not threatening, just watching. "Commander," his sensor officer reported, "there are human vessels ahead of us." Kel felt his stomach tighten. "Change course, go around them." They changed course, but soon more human ships appeared in their new path. "Change course again," Kel ordered. They changed course again, and again humans were waiting. Was enjoying herself. She had been following Kel for 4 days now. Every time he tried to change direction, she would appear ahead of him. Every time he tried to hide, she would find him. "He is getting frustrated," she reported to Captain. "He keeps changing course, but we are always there first." Smiled. "That is the point. We are not just chasing him. We are hurting him. Every move he makes, we are guiding him toward the dead zone. He does not realize it yet. He will soon." Kel realized it on the 5th day. He was looking at the star map when the truth hit him like a punch to the face. He traced his route over the past week. every change of direction, every escape attempt, and he saw the pattern. The humans had not been chasing him randomly. They had been guiding him. Every time he turned, they appeared exactly where they needed to be to push him toward the dead zone. He was not running away. He was running into a trap. "Commander," Vara said quietly, "what do we do?" Kel stared at the map. His hands were shaking. "We have no choice. The dead zone is still our best option. The radiation will hurt them as much as it hurts us." "Are you sure?" Kel was not sure. He was not sure of anything anymore. The humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to be afraid. Instead, they were hunting him like he was an animal. They were playing with him like a cat plays with a mouse. For the first time since the attack on New Hope, Kel felt fear. Watched her screen as Kel's fleet entered the dead zone. Everything was happening exactly as she had predicted. "They are inside the trap," she reported to Admiral. Nodded. "Good. Order all ships to move into position. We will seal the exits and then close in, slowly. I want Kel to understand what is happening. I want him to feel the fear that those colonists felt." "Yes, Admiral." The human fleet moved like a closing fist. Ships took positions at every possible exit from the dead zone. Fighters patrolled the space between the larger vessels. There was no escape. There was no hope. Kel stood on his bridge and watched as human ships appeared on every side. Dozens of them, then hundreds. The radiation made his sensors fuzzy, but he could see enough. He could see that he was completely surrounded. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "Perhaps we can negotiate." His communication officer tried, but there was only silence. The humans were not interested in talking, not yet. Flew past Kel's flagship, close enough for him to see her ship through his window. She waggled her wings, a traditional human gesture that could mean many things. In this case it meant, "We see you, we have you, and there is nothing you can do." Kel watched the human fighter fly past, and finally he understood. The elders had been right. He should have listened. He should have believed the stories. But it was too late now. The wolf was awake, and it was hungry. The dying star called Ember glowed red in the darkness. It was old and tired. Soon it would collapse and become nothing. But for now, it painted the dead zone in shades of blood and fire. Commander Kel stood on his bridge and watched the human ships gather around him. He had counted over 100 vessels, warships, fighters, carriers, a fleet larger than anything his people had ever assembled, and they had brought it all for him. "Commander," Vara said quietly, "we cannot win this fight." Kel knew she was right, his 12 ships against their 100, his tired crews against their angry warriors. There was no chance, no hope. But surrender was not something Kel had ever learned. He was a conqueror, a hero. He did not bow to lesser creatures. "Prepare for battle," he ordered. "We will show these humans that do not give up." His officers looked at each other with fear in their eyes, but they obeyed. They had no other choice. Commander Wu stood on the bridge of his ship, the Dawn Hammer. He was a big man with broad shoulders and a calm face. He had been chosen to lead the first wave of the attack. It was an honor he did not want. "Open a channel to the flagship," he ordered. A moment later, Kel's face appeared on his screen. The commander looked tired and scared, though he was trying to hide it. "Commander Kel," Wu said, "I am Commander Wu of the Human Defense Fleet. You have one chance to surrender. If you lower your weapons and power down your engines, you will be taken alive. You will face trial for your crimes, but you will live." Kel laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of a desperate man who had nothing left to lose. "You think I will surrender to you," Kel said. "You are just humans, weak creatures from a small planet. You think you can judge me. You think you have the right." Wu's face did not change. "You killed 300 innocent people. 47 of them were children. You gave them no warning. You gave them no chance. You burned them alive while they slept." He paused. Yes, I think I have the right to judge you. Those colonists were on our territory. They had no right to be there. They were farmers, Kel, teachers, doctors. They were building homes and growing food. They were not soldiers, they were not threats, they were families. Kel was silent for a moment. Then he shook his head. I will not surrender. I would rather die fighting than live as a prisoner of humans. Wu nodded slowly. Then you will die. I am sorry it has to end this way, but you made this choice when you attacked our people. He closed the channel. Admiral watched from the silent thunder. He had heard the conversation. He had hoped, perhaps foolishly, that Kel would see reason, that there would be no more death today. But some lessons could only be taught with blood. All ships said quietly, begin the attack. The battle lasted 17 minutes. Was in the first wave. Her fighter screamed through space, dodging enemy fire and returning it tenfold. She was angry. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the images from New Hope, the burning buildings, the dead children, the playground covered in ash. She fired her weapons with cold precision. One ship after another fell before her. She did not feel joy. She did not feel satisfaction. She felt only duty. These creatures had hurt her people. Now she would make sure they could never hurt anyone again. Lieutenant commanded the weapons on the Iron Wake. She targeted the engines of ships, crippling them so they could not escape. Some of them tried to fight back. Their weapons' fire was strong and accurate. The Iron Wake took damage. Crew members were injured. But the Iron Wake kept fighting. Human ships were tough. Human crews were tougher. Keep firing, Captain ordered. Do not give them time to think. Do not give them time to breathe. They fought bravely. Kel had to give them that. They knew they could not win, but they fought anyway, for honor, for pride, for the desperate hope that somehow something would save them. Nothing saved them. One by one, the ships fell. Their weapons went silent. Their engines went dark. They drifted through space like dead leaves on a cold wind. After 12 minutes, only 4 ships remained. After 15 minutes, only 2. After 17 minutes, only Kel's flagship was left. It was crippled. Its weapons were destroyed. Its engines were gone. It floated near the dying star, wounded and helpless. Admiral ordered his ships to hold position. The battle was over. Now came the hard part. Commander Kel said through the communication channel, "Your fleet is destroyed. You have nothing left to fight with. I am asking you one more time to surrender." Kel appeared on the screen. He was bleeding from a cut on his head. His bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. Around him, his officers lay dead or wounded. "Why?" Kel asked. His voice was weak. "Why are you doing this? It was just one colony, just a few hundred humans. Why would you send your entire fleet for such a small thing?" Looked at Kel with eyes that held no anger, no hatred, only a deep, tired sadness. "Because every human life matters to us," said. "When you killed those colonists, you did not just kill 300 people. You attacked our family, and we protect our family, always, no matter the cost." Kel shook his head. "But it does not make sense. The resources, the time, the effort, for just 300 deaths." "Let me tell you something about humans," said. "We do not measure the value of life in numbers. We do not calculate whether revenge is worth the cost. When someone hurts us, we respond, not because it is logical, not because it is efficient, but because it is right. Because if we let one attack go unpunished, there will be another, and another, until our people live in fear." He leaned forward. "You thought we were weak because we chose peace. You thought we had forgotten how to fight, but peace is not weakness, Kel. Peace is a choice. We chose to be kind. We chose to be gentle. We chose to build instead of destroy, but we never forgot what we are capable of. And now you know too." Kel was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. "I surrender," he said quietly. "Do what you will with me." Felt no victory, only exhaustion, only grief for the lives lost on both sides. "You will be taken to the Galactic Council," he said. You will face justice there, not human justice, galactic justice. Let the whole galaxy see what happens to those who attack innocent people." Human soldiers boarded Kel's ship and took him prisoner. They were not cruel. They did not hurt him. They simply put him in chains and led him away. Watch from her fighter as Kel was taken. She had wanted to feel satisfied. She had wanted to feel that justice had been done, but all she felt was empty. The battle was over. The humans had won, but victory did not bring back the dead. Victory did not heal the wounds. Victory was just the beginning of a longer, harder journey. The journey toward making sure this never happened again. Captain stood on the bridge of the Iron Wake and looked at the wreckage floating through space. 12 ships, thousands of soldiers, all destroyed in 17 minutes. "Was it worth it?" asked quietly. Thought about the question for a long time. Then he shook his head. "No," he said, "but it was necessary. Sometimes there are no good choices, only less bad ones." He turned away from the window and began giving orders to help the wounded. The battle was over. But the story was not finished yet. The great hall of the Galactic Council was full. Every seat was taken. Every species in the galaxy had sent representatives. They had come to see the trial of Commander Kel. They had come to witness history. Elder stood at the center of the hall, just as he had stood when he warned Kel not to attack the humans. His old eyes looked around the room. He saw fear on every face, fear that had not been there before. Good, he thought, they should be afraid. Commander Kel was brought in wearing chains. He walked slowly, his head held high. He was still trying to look proud, but his eyes were empty. The fire that had once burned in them was gone. Behind him in the gallery sat the human delegation. Admiral was there, Captain was there, Lieutenant was there, and many others. They did not speak. They did not need to. Their presence was enough. Kel was placed in the center of the hall. The council members looked down at him from their high seats. No one smiled. No one showed sympathy. "Commander Kel of the Empire," the Chief Justice said, "you are charged with unprovoked aggression. You are charged with the murder of 300 humans, including 47 children. You are charged with crimes against peace. How do you answer?" Kel looked up at the Chief Justice. For a moment it seemed like he might argue, like he might try to defend himself, but then his shoulders fell. "I am guilty," he said quietly. "I did what they say I did. I attacked the human colony. I killed everyone there. I have no defense." The hall was silent. The Chief Justice nodded slowly. "Do you have anything to say before we deliver your sentence?" Kel thought for a long moment. Then he turned and looked at Elder. "You warned me," he said. "You told me not to do it. You told me what would happen, and I did not listen." He paused. "I should have listened." Nodded sadly. "Yes, you should have." Kel turned back to the Chief Justice. "I was arrogant. I thought the stories about humans were just stories. I thought they were exaggerated. I thought that a species so small and weak could not possibly be dangerous." He shook his head. "I was wrong about everything." Admiral watched from the gallery. He did not feel triumph. He did not feel satisfaction. He only felt tired. He had hoped long ago that humanity would never have to fight again. He had hoped that the galaxy had learned its lesson. But some lessons needed to be taught more than once. The Chief Justice spoke again. "Commander Kel, this council has debated your fate for many days. Some wanted you executed immediately. Others wanted you imprisoned forever. But in the end, we have decided on something different." Kel waited. "You will spend the rest of your life traveling the galaxy. You will visit every world, every station, every colony, and you will tell them your story. You will tell them what you did. You will tell them what happened. You will be a living warning to anyone who thinks of harming humanity." Kel closed his eyes. In some ways, this was worse than death. He would spend his remaining years as a symbol of failure, a reminder of what not to do. "I accept my punishment," he said. The Chief Justice nodded. Then he turned to address the full council. And now we must discuss a larger matter, the warning that has existed for 200 years, the warning that Commander Kell ignored. He paused. I believe it is time to make that warning stronger. Elder stepped forward. His voice was old and weak, but everyone in the hall heard him clearly. For 200 years, we have told our young ones to never provoke humanity. We have told them stories about the Vex Empire and how humanity destroyed them completely. We have told them that humans are peaceful but dangerous. He shook his head. But it was not enough. Kell heard these warnings and ignored them. Others might do the same. He looked around the hall with his ancient eyes. I propose that the warning be made into law, absolute law. Any species that attacks human civilians without cause will face immediate response from the entire Galactic Council, not just from humanity, from all of us. We must show that attacking innocents is something the galaxy will not tolerate. There was murmuring among the council members. Some looked uncertain, some looked worried, but many were nodding. Watch from the gallery. She leaned close to Captain and whispered, "Will they do it? Will they make it law?" Watched the council carefully. I think they will. They saw what we did to Kell. They saw how we hunted him across the stars. They saw how we destroyed his fleet in 17 minutes. He paused. They are afraid of us now, and fear can be a useful thing. The vote was held. One by one, the species of the galaxy made their choice. The vote was not unanimous, but it was close. Over 90% of the council agreed to the new law. Attacking human civilians without cause would now be considered a crime against the entire galaxy. When the vote was announced, the humans in the gallery did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They simply nodded quietly and accepted the result. Admiral stood up and addressed the council. We did not want this war, he said. We did not want to destroy Kell's fleet. We did not want to kill thousands of soldiers, but we did what we had to do to protect our people. He paused. Humanity does not seek conquest. We do not seek power over others. We only want to live in peace, to trade, to explore, to grow. He looked around the hall. But let me be very clear. If anyone attacks our people again, we will respond. Not because we enjoy violence, but because we have a duty to protect our families, our children, our future. His eyes were hard. The elders warned you for 200 years. Now you have seen why. Do not make the same mistake Kell made. Do not wake the wolf. He sat down. The hall was silent. Later that night stood on the observation deck of the Silent Thunder. She looked out at the stars and thought about everything that had happened. The attack on New Hope, the hunt for Kell, the battle at the Dead Zone, the trial. Captain found her there. What are you thinking about? He asked. I am thinking about the colonists, said. The ones who died, the children who never got to grow up, the families who will never be together again. Nodded, I think about them too. Did we do the right thing? Was all of this worth it? Was quiet for a long moment, then he pointed at the stars. Somewhere out there on 100 different worlds, children are going to sleep tonight without fear, because they know that if anyone attacks them, humanity will respond. Their parents will tuck them into bed and tell them that they are safe, that the monsters will not hurt them. He looked at. We cannot bring back the people who died on New Hope. We cannot undo what Kell did, but we can make sure it never happens again. We can make sure that no other colony has to burn, that no other children have to die. Nodded slowly. That is what the colonists would have wanted. Yes, I think it is. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere far away on a small blue planet called Earth, families were having dinner. Children were playing games. People were living their lives without fear. That was what humanity fought for. Not glory, not power, not revenge. Just the simple right to live in peace. Elder retired from the council soon after the trial. He was very old and very tired. He had seen too much in his long life. On his last day, he recorded a message for future generations. a message that would be played in schools across the galaxy for centuries to come. "I have lived for 300 years," he said in the recording. "I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species conquer each other and be conquered in turn. But in all my years, I have never seen a species like humanity." He smiled sadly. "They are small, they are fragile, they live short lives, but they love each other with a fierceness that is hard to understand. When you hurt one of them, you hurt all of them. And when you hurt all of them, they will never stop until they have made you pay." He leaned forward. "So learn from the story of Commander Kell. Learn from the destruction of the Vex Empire. Learn from the warnings of the Elders. And whatever you do, never provoke humanity." He paused. "Because if you do, you will regret it, for as long as you live." The recording ended. The message was clear, and for 1,000 years after, no one attacked humanity again. The wolf slept peacefully. And the galaxy remembered.